Hello y'all, and welcome to the exciting world of chicken parasites. Before we move any further into this series, there are just a couple things that I want to bring some clarification to right off the bat. I have had very unfortunate first-hand experiences with every single one of these parasites that we are about to discuss, and in these videos following, I will share with you some of the methods that I have used to treat these parasites, but keep in mind that there are other methods available. I'll mention some of these other methods as well, and I would invite you to always just take what I say as my experience, and please go do your own secondary research before you make decisions about how you want to treat your birds. There is no one-size-fits-all way in chicken keeping. You will hear me reference ivermectin poron. In fact, you will hear me reference several different medications that are used off-label in chicken keeping. These are methods that you will find researched all over the internet and agreed upon among backyard chicken keepers. But of course, use these treatments at your own risk. Anytime you hear me reference ivermectin, I always talk about how I like to use 2 to 9 drops per bird, depending on size, but the exact measurement of that is actually 0.2 milligrams per kilogram of body weight of the bird. You will also not hear me make any mention of any herbal treatments or remedies or preventatives within these videos, and that's because for the purpose of these videos, I am referencing full-blown infestation. And personally, in my experience, once we get to the point of an infestation, herbal remedies could take too long to show us results, and we may start to lose birds in the meantime. There is casualties from these parasites when they are loaded up on our birds in really excessive amounts. I am very pro herbal remedies, but in my experience, they typically need to build up over time to be the most effective, and they work well as preventatives and as specific aids for particular problems in chicken keeping. For the prevention of parasite issues, things like pumpkin and garlic ingested can be really beneficial to help prevent parasites. And primarily what herbs such as those are doing, or food items such as those are doing, are creating an environment that is inhospitable that the parasites don't want to live in. Herbs like wormwood and clove and black walnut are also anti-parasitic, although I personally don't have any experience using those with chickens. You will also notice that I never mentioned diatomaceous earth, and although I understand that diatomaceous earth is something that is really highly recommended in some circles in the chicken keeping community, it's worth noting that diatomaceous earth can be very damaging to the respiratory tract of chickens. It's worth noting that even humans, when we work with diatomaceous earth, it's suggested that we wear face masks, and the reason is because that product works by essentially breaking down the exoskeleton of insects and killing them over time. It doesn't work on immediate contact, and you have to consider that if it can break down the exoskeleton of the insect, what can it potentially do to the respiratory tract of our birds, who already have very sensitive respiratory tracts to begin with. So to use diatomaceous earth in a dust pat to me seems like it could be potentially hazardous and doesn't provide enough of a benefit to be worth the risk, in my opinion. And some people would suggest to put it in food or in water, but once diatomaceous earth becomes wet, it also becomes less effective. So again, I just don't see that the benefits outweigh the risks of using the product. You will hear me mention egg withdrawal times, and an egg withdrawal time is the time period in which we don't consume eggs after a treatment is given. And this is because sometimes those treatments, those medicines can make their way into the eggs through the oviduct, and there's no way to tell exactly how much of that medication will get into the egg, and you don't want to run into any problems where people could accidentally be allergic to these things, or where there could be some sort of parasite resistance built up. During that time period of egg withdrawal time, it's also not advisable to feed eggs back to chickens or to animals. There are some dogs in particular who are really sensitive to ivermectin products, especially, and if we're feeding those eggs to chickens, those medications could inadvertently get in the eggs and pass that way. So if we're feeding them to the chickens, we may be accidentally re-exposing chickens to the medication. And finally, across several videos, you're going to hear me reference doing inspections on birds. I would always advise that this is done in the evening time or at night while the birds are roosting, because they're going to be much easier to handle and catch once they're resting on that roosting bar. And you can see the parasites easier at night underneath a flashlight. And I just feel like it's easier to spot parasites at night or on the roosts in the evening time as well. So for the purposes of those inspections, and for a couple areas of the chickens that I referenced within these videos, I wanted to just go over a couple parts of the chicken and words that you'll hear me say. If I could reference whoever it was that made this drawing, I assume it's a girl. If I could reference the woman who created this drawing, I would love to do that because I think that this is the best drawing I've ever seen, outlining the parts that we're looking at a chicken. Unfortunately, I just found it on like a simple internet search and I can't find who to credit here. So if you know, please let me know. I would love to give them credit. So for the purpose of inspection, these feathers right here are called the hackle feathers. This is the wing. Underneath the wing, I'm usually referencing this area right in here. This is the back. This is the vent. These are shanks and feet, hocks and thighs, although we don't reference those, it's good to know. Comb and wattles, although they're hard to see on her because she is an Americana. She's a Wheaten Americana pullet. Nose here. Ears are here. Yes, chickens have ears. But you know, there's actually one more thing. I didn't do this intentionally, but as I was filming these videos, the information sort of stacks up upon each other. So I would invite you to watch these videos in order from beginning to end, if at all possible. If your ADHD or genuine curiosity or current need won't allow you to do that, that's fine, I understand. But listen, this is just an invitation on how I would suggest you do it.